Oops. Hey guys. Hey Peter, Stuart, David, g'day. Aussie Rob, hello. Paul Schaus, g'day. Mark Osborne, hello. Matt, g'day. Paul Pipperdone, good day. Alistair. My gosh. G'day. Jimana, g'day. I'm here. What's everyone up to? Yeah. Alistair has a parcel. I don't know what it is yet. We fully expect our curiosity to be satisfied very quickly because we're not very good at waiting for things. So, Alistair, what's in your parcel? There we go. Asking all the important questions for everyone. I was just messaging my mate Goff. I don't think my mate Mark. I'm not sure he's sure that he knows about live stream, but anyway. Sent me a lot of Fowler roller pictures if anyone's interested. Yes, the one you posted photos of. That's what we need to know about. Anyway, you sent a lot of pictures. That looks like probably some bearings out of the stupid thing. Looks like transmission bearings of some sort. Yep, something to do with the back end. Gear supports and things. So there's another Fowler roller that's being built up here in Brisbane. So lots of work being done there. Alistair, pretty keen. I'll have to have a look. James P, g'day. Did I see James P come in? Don't know. Good morning, James. What's happened today? I've been at work, which is a bit of a shock. It's really not doing it for me as such. But pretty good day. Bit cool stuff happening. Progress on this. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about my day. You really don't want to know about that. And yeah, anyway, I did sort of share some of it on Discord. But enough said of that. The less said about that, the better. This has been a bit of an ordeal getting to this far with this cylinder head. At this point, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm not sure that's subject to change. But this is what I've done all weekend, right? Which is a bit slack. I soldered up this muffler, silencer. That's all fixed. It's in place. Made a copper washer. I don't know if you can see that. Alistair, I've got 1,000 questions, but now probably isn't the time for them. You will get bombarded with them once the video comes out. Sorry. Made a copper washer with a spark plug anyway. And made up a couple of valves, or 3 valves actually, because one of them didn't last. Didn't make the journey. These are a bit challenging. I made these ends and I've made up the new springs. Oh, the cross side would have to be good to be better than mine. But anyway. Oh, Dan's here. He's not, well, maybe he is in the doghouse. Dan's in the doghouse, so he's made it to live stream. Poor Peter. Getting some pretty ordinary focus situations here. So, I had to cross drill these for pins. They're 332. Gosh, my nails are bad. Give you some idea. These are 332 and they've got a 1mm or a 40 thou hole in here, number 60 drill. Hey Chirpy. So I had trouble drilling these for these pins. I really had issues with that. It's not a very easy job, and I stuffed one valve trying to do it, which is part of the course for jobs like this. Don't know where the damaged one went. It's here on the bench somewhere. It was. I probably tossed it. Here it is. Here it is. Right. That's what the valve looks like. And this one's got a lot of burrs on it, and it's got a bit of a bend in it, which isn't good. Hey, Journeyman Randy. So the problem was it tried to drill this crossways and never had any luck with it at all. Ended up drilling halfway through the end of it. Not good. So I gave up on that. Made a new one. These are machined between centres because they've got to be spot on concentric. Like fussy concentric. David Bellani, good day. So machine these between centres and then put them in a collet, machine the ends off to length. That's how I did those. This one I couldn't cross drill, so I took these to work this morning and actually cross drilled these with the Faro tool and a carbide burr. and it went on. They went pretty well, actually. Really pleased with that. So I can put this all together. Now these springs aren't right. They're correct according to the diagram, really, I think, according to the drawing. Well, this one is. I think it's a bit bigger diameter than it should be because it sticks out the end here. And they nearly touch in the middle. There's a mistake on the drawings here, because these valves either are a lot closer together than the drawing looks, or something's not quite right. Anyway, hey Bill. So I might make this a little bit smaller than 5/16 diameter, which isn't a big deal. And this one I've got to find some lighter wire because this is 0.6 wire and it's way too much pressure on that intake valve, I think. So anyway, bit of work with that. But they're all in and they've had a bit of light lapping, and I think they're probably really, really good, to be honest. I have to make a cap for this out of aluminium to bolt on with the air fitting in the back so that we can actually put some air pressure on that and pressurize it and see if they actually leak. So, done that. That's what I did all weekend, more or less. Oh, there's other things I did too, but that was, to be honest, by about 4 o'clock Monday afternoon, I was thinking I was about to give up on this project and go and do something else for a few months because this wasn't going well at all. But it's looking good again now. And today's been one of those days. I'm probably bouncing off the walls a bit, so it's all good. Just got to decide whether the next job is to make a hone and sort this bore out, and the external hone to make the piston and make a piston and conrod, whether that's the next job, or whether I make some of these levers. Now, I believe there's probably a few castings missing out of this kit. I don't know. Christian, g'day. Got some things for you, Christian, when I catch up with you. Just so you know. Yeah, nothing particularly exciting, but have a look at this because this has got the best way I've got to really choose here, sharing pictures on this device. This has all these little castings. They're all missing on mine. See this one here? And these two, which are your governor weights and your step out lever and your rocker arm. And the conrod. They're all castings that are missing on this kit. So it's also got a different cylinder head. So this is a later one, I would think. But the rest basically the same. Anyway, we might have to do something about that. I don't know whether we're going to make the conrod out of that piece of brass bar, probably. These bits are easy. These are a bit more messing around, but we'll get there. Anyway, so there's lots of bits like this, which are going to be fun to fabricate. But we'll get there. I might even get them cast in brass, but I don't know if that's really the answer. I think we'll just fabricate them up as steel. So that's how that's going. I don't know whether to make this and put the piston in now that we can probably get some compression, or whether to actually keep on with the levers and leave the difficult bits like compression till later. Don't know. There's 1,000 bits to make. There's not really. When you look at the drawings, there's only about 10 more assemblies to manufacture. Or 10 more parts to manufacture. Some of them have got multiple parts inside them, and there's a bit of work in some of them. But I think there's about 10 parts left. This is the start of the carburetor, or the mixer. This is one of those fun bits. This has got to have a, oh my gosh, where are we here? This has got to have a 30-degree bend in here. Still working out how to do that. It's got an orifice there for the venturi, and this is the choke bolt on the bottom, and the flange on the top. This has a bend in it, and then that bolts on here like so, something like that. But this is straight up and down. So that's one of the parts. So, Christian, how's yours going on? Any closer to being finished? You could end up in here, you get asked all the difficult questions. Got some stuff from John about your little engine, and I've got an axe handle for you. There you go. Not all that exciting, but if you survive the bushfire season, well, I'll get them to you. So anyway, this is getting a bit closer. I had to pull all this out because every time I do some machining on this, I always get grit back in this crankshaft or in the assembly somewhere when I reassemble it. It's a bit of a problem. It's one of those things. I think it's pretty good. It's got a bit of a rumble there, so it might get tight. It's just bolt tensions and things. It's a bit fussy. But every time you pull it apart, you've got to clean it. I've discovered this stuff is probably the best. Just to clean all the crap out. Bit of pressure behind it, but it's a bit fussy. Anyway, lots to do. This needs some more machining work in here. This bolts on here, something like this, with the chimney up and down. I'm so sorry about the shaky phone. And then the pushrod bolts on the side of that and on the side of the block. So it's starting to come together, but there's a bit of work in it. And at the moment, I've really got to give this a break for a week and focus on some jobs that are here. In particular, roller jobs. I've got to get that starting valve finished, and I've got to get that blowdown valve sorted. So that's the next couple of weeks. And to do the starting valve, I've got to make a trip to the foundry. So there's a few jobs to do there. I've actually thought I was going to do this last night and got sick of it and never bothered. But I'm all set to set this up on centre. I found a mandrel to set that up so that it's somewhere near centre. Be close enough for this pulley. Mount him up on 3 parallels with clamps and run through it in the mill with the boring head to bore this out to fit concrete mixer. So that's one of the jobs. Kimberly, g'day. Hope you're doing okay with that mill. Every time I see a video, I dread watching it because it all looks a little bit intense and scary. Anyway, that's that. Alice here, just so you know, this little launch, this is the, hopefully you've got a nice slide. That's probably as nice a one as I've ever seen. That's 1960s. And it is Lorch. That's written on here. We'll turn that round there. It's got Lorch there. This is a pretty nice slide, this one. Really pleased with it. It's not anywhere near finished. I had to rebuild this one. And probably that's where it fails. It falls down a bit because this has all been remade. But now it's good. I'm still going to put a slot in here for the kick out for the power feed. I've been using the thread cutting attachment for winding springs this week. Springs are pretty simple things to make. Just you've got to have the diameters right. I've ordered a couple of these, which are the magnesium or zinc or whatever anodes for a hot water cylinder, basically. And these go in the tender of the roller, just so we know. There's a couple of them on order, so they'll be here. This was a replacement. This come from Germany. This is the one I've rebuilt a couple of times. I've put a new cross-side screw in it. I've rebuilt all the top here because this was just rough and it had a hole for a stud that was in the wrong spot and it was a bit ugly and had an awful old tool post on it and stuff like that. So I've actually blocked up that hole for the stud, which is probably the original hole for the stud. I think it's a stupid place to put it. It's a bit of a nuisance there. It might have been the positional hole for the tool clamp, which might have come over this way a bit further. I've redone all the oil ways, so it's got actual like ball tip oilers in here to oil all through the inside. Put a new screw in this one, which is 2 millimeters, but instead of being square, this is now trapezoidal. So fix that, and yeah, there's quite a few improvements here. I've also done this. Gosh, can you even see that? Sorry. We'll try that. Put this castle nut on here instead of on the end of the shaft. So this has got a basically extra wear surface in here. Wind this back. Oops, put my hand over there. This is looking a bit worn on this end nowadays, but it has done a fair bit of work since I've owned it. And one day I might re-scrape it, but it hasn't going to happen yet. So this isn't anywhere near finished, but this goes in there like that. And then this goes on here like so. And drives that from your through change gears. This is set up for the same pitch as the same amount of turns, 2mm pitch. For springs. So this does basically the same revolutions as this when it's in gear. If we put this in gear, there we go. Awesome, James. And what holds these together? This has got a ball detent in here. Turn it so that we can actually see it. There we go. So that just basically clicks. That's not done up properly there. I've taken that out to give us a bit more clearance. I want it so that this comes out and we can put a plug in the end of here with a bush and not have this at all, so we can operate this right up to here. But at this point it hasn't happened, and it hasn't really been a problem, only when you put the 4-jaw chuck on. So this has got a ball detent in that shaft, and this shaft should be locked in here. And then it's a 2-position ball. We'll pull that out and we'll have a look. Probably. There we go. So that's like that. I don't know how you're ever going to get that back on now, but there we go. We'll try that. So there's 2 positions, so that one position's out there, so it's unengaged, and one so it's locked. That's how that works. This we're still working on. Every now and again I actually use this attachment, and I think, gosh, I should finish that. The old girl's looking pretty lived in and used at the moment. But I'm going to do a similar thing here with a ball detent and just a pin. A similar sort of thing I made here. I'm not sure if this is actually what we're going to use yet. Probably not. But basically that goes on here. And we're going to put a slot in that, I think, for a roll pin halfway through this shaft. And this basically will click in place so that with a ball detent on the shaft, so you can click it in place, or you can just disconnect this to put away. This is my design. It's not finished yet by any means. It's a project that I've been working on for, let's find some light. Here we go. I guess you've all seen this. I'm a bit passionate about this as a actual device. This is the oiler for this shaft here. This one here is 3 position with a tumbler for reverse. And that gives us a reverse and 1-to-1 to this shaft here. Down in there. That's what we got there, down there. And then there's a banjo here that basically locks like that. And this is just an idler gear between here and here, so that gives us 1-to-1 here to here because they're both 40-tooth gears. So there's a spacer bush on here. These are all, gosh, sorry about this. I started with my tablet the wrong way up. I think if I turn it over, I'm in trouble. These basically just unscrew whichever one. They've got flats. See there, you can see the flats probably just. That one's not actually engaged. Maybe it is now. Yeah. So there's a flat that fits in the slot. It's not engaged. It's popped out again. Maybe it hasn't. But the theory is that you can do this up without actually getting to the back of this, because this slides up and down, and this screw's actually fitted in there. And then there's a bit of pinch on the shaft, so it tightens up through the front, and then it doesn't tighten up on the bush through the centre. And these have got a bush here, which you can take off and you can put a spacer in another wheel. Hey Mark, good to see you. So still a work in progress. Still got to put a cover on it because it's a bit dangerous like that probably. I've been saying that for 12 months, 18 months. Probably 2 years or 5 years or something. But anyway, that's all work in progress. And I'd very much like to get it going. But the other feature that this needs is a knockout for power feed, so that you can set a stop out here. I'm just going to put basically a groove in here, and then a bit of something with a little bit of pinch on it, so probably a bit of 1/2 inch by 3/16 or a bit of 12mm by 5mm or something through here, with a stop on it to kick behind there, so that when it gets to the end of its travel, it knocks that off the dog clutch and disengages it, hopefully with some sort of repeatability. And have this adjustable, whether you set it with a ruler or probably put some sort of micrometer head on it or something. I've got a Mochitoyo micrometer head I'd like to put on it. I don't think that's the answer. I'm not sure. I've been trying to think about that. But I'm just going to put a pinch clamp on there so that when you adjust it, you can clamp it down and it'll pop this basically off the end of the dog clutch and kick the power feed out up to a stop. So that's the theory with that. Anyway, it's a project. And it's an ongoing project. This poor thing needs a clean up again. It's had a pretty heavy weekend. It's made valves and springs and mandrels and caps and all sorts of things. I did clean it already. I did give it quite a comprehensive clean about Friday. It was Saturday night, something like that. Sunday night, probably. Sunday night, I think. But it's all dirty again. Alistair, what is the collet size in your lathe? That's something that interests me a bit. That was one of the questions that I can't resist asking. Is it an A2 or is it A3 or A4, A5, A6? Interesting. I'd like to know what the collet size is. 12.5, so it's an A2. I know. This is inch 10, so you know. When you're trying to work this one out, because you don't ever look for odd things like that. But this thread here is inch 10. This is a nose protector for that, which is 3D printed actually. This is my collet collection. Half reasonable collets. I've made these racks and 3D printed them, and I've made these little thread protectors because it is an odd thread. This is, some of these collets are a bit rough. Some of them are alright. It's 11.5 by 11.5 by 1 millimeter, this thread on here. Anyway, would like to either find or mate or something. Yes, like to find or make some more collets and accessories and things. I've got lots of bits and pieces for it, but I'd like to do some more. Probably if I get some of these roller bits finished before I get this engine finished, I'd like to make some more bits for this. Now I've been using it, I think, what a pain in the neck not having that set up properly. And it wouldn't take very much to set this up and finish it. Get at least this part finished. Another thing this needs is a screw on the inside this bush, into that square, so that in the end of the square, so that it doesn't fall off the end. That's kind of one of those things. Just ask Alistair anytime. I kind of know most of those threads off by heart. This thrust bearing in here, you'll have fun with that. Unless yours is like a thread chaser head, it'll have this thread chaser, this other 360-degree profile. They're all really good question. The threads on the collets are 60 degrees. Some threads, right? Here we're going into the deep launch territory. So anyone who's not a launch crazy probably won't need to know this. But this thread here, in here, 1/4 inch, or I think it's 1/4 inch Leuvenhoser, which is 53 degrees, something like that. Some stupid crazy thread that one is. No idea why. The threads that hold this in place and the tailstock in place and the headstock in place are actually 1/2 inch Whitworth. There's another absolutely mind-blowing fact about these. This thrust bearing is not really easily available. If you've got a reasonable ball race and the thrust, we made a plastic thrust washer with a groove in it. No, we used the grooves, and we couldn't get another carrier for the balls when the thrust bearing wore out. It was getting a bit crunchy. So we made a new ball carrier with holes in it out of industrial plastic, out of yellow stuff. Basically that yellow industrial plastic there, whatever that's called. And put the balls in that and put it back together. Now this has run a lot of hours without it ever been a problem. That part of the headstock, there's just a flat on the casting. A flat on the casting. Like across here. Thanks for the update, Mark. Ah, yes. Now, the little one that I used to have, the little L, that had a flat on the casting. There's not actually been this might have been an optional. I don't know if you can see that, there's an index wheel there, which this operates on. This is a new index detent that I made. Basically, the spring-loaded detent spring steel, which operates in there on the index wheel. Leuvenhoek, that's what it is. Leuvenhoek. That's the thread. I've got to look that up every time I ever want to know. This head, I believe, is a fairly early one. I don't know. This could be 20s, but it's about the first of this particular bed. Now, there's matching numbers. This one, and the head and the tailstock. And the numbers are usually here on the end if you want to look. I don't know if you can decipher them or you know or anything about it, but there's the numbers. I'm not sure if they mean anything, and there's no way of looking them up if they did. Generally, the number is matching. Number is sorry about this. There's another number on one end of the headstock here. Anyway, there's a collet that no one's put away. It's about 2.5 mil. So it's 25 here. Not sure you can upload a picture to chat, but I'll talk to you about it at some point, Alistair. Give you time to unpack it. I think I'm back, guys. Sorry. I may have inadvertently closed the chat window. Anyway, we're probably through on the whole launch. Anyway, all the crazy. Now, things that I would like for this lathe, right? If anyone's looking on Marketplace or whatever in their local area and they see bits for launch lathes and you don't want to send them to Alistair, you want to send them to me, send me the link. But things I would like, I would very much like a new spindle for this tailstock that's Morse taper 1. I've actually seen a Morse taper tailstock that's much more later than this, and probably I'd lift this off and put a Morse taper tailstock on it at some point. I would very much like there's books full of accessories. There are things that I'd really like. Anyway. Matt, big mills out the back, we're using it sort of pretty consistently. We had a bit of a walk through of the other workshop last week, I think. This old girl, it's been nearly 20 years since it was painted, so it probably could do with another clean up. James, you don't need to get, that's right, you don't need to get launch curious. It's a nice platform for other machines. I'd really like another one of these headstocks. Because if I had a headstock frame like that, crap, I was just seeing if there was a message from Alistair. No. If I had another one of these castings, I would chop it off here and put a pivot point in it and make a rose engine out of it. Did I say that out loud? Yeah, I did. That's what I would do. I would actually round it off here and put a pivot pin all the way through here and here. Right, I'd make another carriage to go over the top that swings backwards and forwards. And another spindle in it on that carriage with a slow speed spindle with a rose index here and a bumper along the front. I've got it drawn out. Hasn't happened. There's 25 on the cross slide. Maybe there is. Mine hasn't got any numbers on the cross slide, but this is off a much later machine. I don't believe that this machine probably even come with a cross slide. It'd probably come with either a tool rest or a part off slide or maybe a turret, something like that. I don't know. I have 3 or 4 of these slides. None of them are much good. I've got a Stark from the USA that's half reasonable and would probably do up. I've got another launch, which is really very, very early one with the screws out on the outside of the slide. I've got an unnamed or a couple of unnamed ones. I'm not sure there's any numbers on this one. So anyway, this is a bit nice because this is all ball bearing and it's repeatable and it's pretty sweet. I'd really like to re-scrape this one. The other one's pretty good really when I had it apart last. It's not terrible. But I'd very much like to re-scrape this because it's a little bit loose in the last inch, which is all you ever use of this. And I think it would clean up pretty well. These are mostly just, there's a few score marks you can see on the camera. You can't really see them in real life. So at one point I would like to do this. This is still, the this end's still got scrape marks in it. It's not a very big slide, and one day I'd like to do that. See how we go. The other thing I'd really like to make is a cover to go around here in aluminium cast over this belt, like up this far with launch on the front. I think that'd be really nice. Just a matter of making a pattern and doing it. Yeah, this has got millimeters in here, which is kind of good, except the dirt and stuff goes in there. I'd very much like a Morse taper one of these. This is much, much earlier, as you can see here, than this system here, which is what the later ones would have had. It's very similar handle. A little bit more elegant and Victorian, I think. But very similar. And this is all ball bearing, whereas it's got actual oil hole in it here. This is a 1.2 degree taper, Alistair. So you know. Now, there's a piece that you're probably missing, which you're going to have to find or make. Right. This is 1.2 degrees. And that's the launch taper. There's a rod in here, a loose bar, right? Which I've always thought I would like to put one of those spring detent screws in to stop it falling out. So you've got to actually give it a bang or hit it or something to get it out. Because every time you take this tailstock off, you lose it. But there's just a loose rod in here about that long, something like that. So that when you wind it back, the taper ejects against the nut on the back here. So that's how that works. And when you wind it forward, doing this all cack-handed, like so, then this locks in. There. So what I did with this is, I started making one and then gave that up as a bad joke. What I did was bought a decent or half decent centre, live centre. Set this up nicely in the four-jaw pretty accurately with a centre and a dead centre and a bit of white lead or whatever, and machined this to the correct taper for the tailstock off another existing piece that I had. So this is a modified commercial taper. Geppy, I think, actually made a decent centre for these, but finding one now is almost impossible. Probably because this has got so much travel, this tailstock, that's why that doesn't work like that. But these tapers are not very long. See, I've got bits like this which are actually original Lorch. It's probably got Lorch written on it somewhere. Don't know where. That's a flat, I guess, drill standard, or a drill table. And that's the right taper, and that ejects with this system too. Did make a new arbor for this drill chuck, so that's actually made from scratch arbor. It's a nice fit too, but that's sort of what it looks like. I've got other bits too. Actually bought this ER16 collet chuck with the idea that I was going to put an arbor on this, but it's hollow all the way through, so it actually won't work. At some point I might still do that, but not sure about that. Sorry guys for about the bump. Now this is a live centre that's genuine Lorch, right? Right. Nice centre, really nice centre. But it's got the headstock taper on it, or the headstock thread on it. So the conclusion I draw from this is that there must be a tailstock that takes these collets as well. That's with a drawbar. Never seen that, or never seen one in real life. But I've got this, and whether I actually was going to convert this to put in there, or whether I'm actually going to hang on to it in case I find another tailstock, I don't know. But this is sort of pretty nice, but probably this is better. A bit more modern. It's got an oil hole there. Anyway, lots and lots of accessories. You end up picking up lots of bits. You'll find that most small German lathes of this pattern, the bits will fit. Anyway, I'm a little bit passionate about launch lathes. I don't know if anyone picked that up. And this has been a project for, 20 years, 15 years, something like that. And it's still going together. I'd like to pull it down and paint it and scrape it and grind it and all that sort of stuff. It's not going to happen for yet because it's useful. What it does need is a new drive belt at some point. Poor thing. This is steel on steel in the front. It should be oiled. This is probably steel on steel or bronze on steel in the back with an adjustable piece. If they're any good in here, they should have, they should run on oil film. Grease. This one had greases as well. But when I pulled it apart, this back bearing was basically shot. It was some old, don't know, I've still got it somewhere. I've got no idea where it is though. It might have been over here on this bench. Or I probably put it away somewhere. I sort of leave it laying about. Can't see it. But the bearing was made up out of a couple of rotten old pipe fittings, basically. Did you say you're buying a launch, James? Anyway, it's all fixed. The bearings and everything's all sorted. That's pretty good. That's pretty sweet. It's just plain bearing. Sorry, guys. Just plain bearing in here, but it's a fairly sweet system, and no problems with that. As long as your balls haven't got too many flat spaces in the thrust washer, and everything's adjusted up right. Now, there's a spanner for this. It's a couple of spanners. This one here, this isn't for this lathe. I picked this up somewhere in Poland, I think, on eBay. Lort Schmidt & Co. Genuine spanner. This fits most bits. Somewhat. Basically, it fits under here if you want to use it. I've also made it so that it fits, the small end fits all these. So I made all them the right size for the spanner. You use this in here to unlock the headstock or adjust the tailstock up or whatever. Now the two rear lock nuts there, I'm guessing that's the ones you're talking about. That's them. All right. The thing's not much good without these. It's the launch ones. So that's what they look like. They didn't come with this machine either. It's something I picked up, but that's what they're like. There's boxes and boxes and boxes. Oh, well, there's drawers full of equipment for this. None of which sort of is much good. I've got in and out of ring chucks, things like that. So there's a key on this bush. This bush here is key to the shaft. Now there's a pin about here, right? Which this is actually I've replaced twice and it's been no good. So I'm going to have another go at some point. But that stops your collet turning. That's in the shaft. Then this is just clamps down with a collet basically system in here. And then do up these bolts. Is there just one or is there more than one? No, there's 3 bolts there that clamp that down with a collet. There's a thread here. This one, you undo this one, you can unscrew this and change your preload. Well, let me know how you go with the collet pin. The last couple I've made was sheared off. I'm still working on that. I think it's going to be softer rather than harder next time. And this is key to the shaft. So basically when you move these in, this one moves backwards and forwards, whereas this one just runs straight on them. There's this little oil cover or dust cover on the outside, and then the steel on steel, and it's steel on cast iron in here, so that'll never wear. Anyway, who's got totally sick of looking at launch bits? Depending on the length of your drawbar, I think they're all different. If we look at it, there's that one. That's what it looks like. There's that one. See that? Don't know what that fits, but it's different. Whatever that fits, I actually have 2 of them, so they're probably out of a tailstock or something. Actually, the short one, I've got 3 of them. There's a genuine one as well. No idea what that's out of. But I reckon it's a tailstock. I don't know. It might be a short head. I only got one long one because this is an odd thread. This is one 11.5 by 1 millimeter. So got to find a tap for that before I make another one. There are quite a lot of different headstocks. If you look at the book, I've got like some serious catalogues. There's a lot of attachments for this, and I think a lot of them probably didn't get made. They were sort of made to order, and I think they probably were designed for specific customers and never ever got made again or included in stock anywhere, because a lot of the attachments are just wild things that no one's ever seen before or after. But generally the A is the 100 millimeter center height, and then the number afterwards is the size of the collet. So some of these had 22 mil collets in them, I think. Like an A6, I think, had 22 millimeter collets, which gives us a thread like this on it, and 22 mil through bore. This is an A2 or an A1, and it has a 12.5 millimeter. I think it's 12.5. I think the A1 may have had a 10 millimeter collet, but that's all conjecture because there's no information on that. So the 10 would have been the small one, and then the 12, and then the 16 and the 22, I think. So you've got an A6 or A1V or AV1 is 6. That had a 22mm collet. And the A2 had a 12.5, the A1 had a 10mm, I think. Never seen one of these with a 10mm. What I have seen is a thread chaser head with a moving spindle and the thread chaser on the end, and that had a 10mm spindle. Don't know what that was for. As far as that boxer worm that thread chasers, this system here is Emma Special. I'll send you a drawing. This is quite good. I like this. It wasn't the original plan I come up with, right? I was going to make a thread chaser, like with basically a hook on or a system on here, and another one out this end, and a bar along the back, like right along the back here, with a tool on it, and basically a threaded mandrel here and a lever that followed that mandrel backwards and forwards for cutting threads. Didn't get to that point because there's a lot more bits in that. So we ended up making this one, which clamps on here too. It's got a lever on the back here, which unclamps it, whichever way it goes. There we go. It's on a cam, and it's got a T-nut in here. There we go. It locks that, and that just fits on the bed. See. This is quite a project because to get these to mesh, right, is a bit of a challenge, but this should fit your machine or anyone else's machine because this just pulls off here. It's got the thread on it, and these are all adjustable. So if your center height's within a couple of millimeters, these are all on cam bushes. So you undo a bolt or a set screw, and you can move the bush with the cam 1/8 of a turn, and that moves it closer or further away to make all this mesh. And then it's got an adjustable plate here for your detent. So that's how that works. But anyway, launch lathes. Sorry, it's been all over this live stream is all we've looked at. Don't do this. Let's have a look. This was off a small lathe somewhere in Melbourne in a factory. No idea. I've made this pulley to match the launch pulley because it had a wooden, very, very ordinary pulley on it. Fix that. And these have got nice hangers, and it's got fast and loose system for reverse as well. And it's got a power takeoff pulley and another couple of pulleys too that are not actually on it. Yeah, this fixes that rattly mess, not a problem. I didn't want this gear train to be, gosh, I've got light problems here. I don't know if that helps or not. Maybe it does. I didn't want this to have rattles, and it doesn't, for a couple of reasons. One, these are 3D printed gears. Oh, something's out of mesh now. There's a brass bush in here, straight brass bush, and that's oiled through here. And then this locks on the same collar. But this spindle through here is on a cam. And then these ones here are also on cam so that they lock so that you can get this to mesh on this one and this one, or tumble across and mesh on the other one, like so. Or so there's a bit of wrangling to get that so that this one meshes on here and then through there, and the other way around, and then they're both got to mesh together as well. So bit of thinking about that, but that's how it all works. That's the system. But this is, it's really quiet as a mouse. I'm really happy with this. How it's running a bit. Very impressed with that. So yeah, change gears, James. It's the only way forward. This is pretty good system. I've tested this a few times. It hasn't done a lot of work in anger because it's not quite finished, and I sort of, when you got to cut a thread, you actually just end up cutting it. Like you put it all together and it works, but it's not really finished. But I've cut 1/16 by 60 TPI threads on this without too many issues, and a decent magnifying glass. So there's not a lot of backlash or anything in it. I guess that's what I'm saying. And that's the secret to it, I think. And that's how this works. And I think that's probably copied off a German gent who made one for an LLA or something like that, one of the little launch lathes, and or even a Chauvelin 70 or something like that. And he probably copied it from Chauvelin, but not my original idea. I just sort of worked out the way it works. But these have got basically there's a brass bush in these, and then there's a flat recessed head screw in there, and these screw in, and they lock in a cam bush. Anyway, Matt, good to see you. Sorry we're dragging on. This is my customization. This is this block here was actually EDM, wire MDM cut, and I made the rest. So if we look at it, just to give you some idea, we'll take this off and put it away as much as it's going to go away. This lever here, if we disengage this, slides off the end there, see? Anyone who's around and not quite bored will make a look at this. Should have done this before. We'll find some space. And we'll put this out here. So what happened was that these gears ended up getting printed quickly for jobs. So that's how that worked. This is just a set of Chinese Sieg gears, which were cheap, and the ones I never had have been basically printed. That bolt actually locks on this slot, and then there's an inner that locks on this end, so everything's tight against here, and then there's a bush on top of that with a key. And these are all matching parts that I've made. These are on cams, and this operates from here onto the the headstock. And this whole rocker mechanism is also on a cam, so that you can actually get this one to get mesh with this one, and then this one basically meshes in the right spot. You control the mesh with that on the spindle with this adjustment here on the plate. So basically where it locks in place here, because this one stays mesh all the time. This has got a, basically there's a set screw with a shoulder on it, the same as the tailstock, and then this goes in here with a cam, and that locks this, lifts this stud up and down to lock it, and there's just a T-nut on the end. So we need to make a cover for this, and probably I'm just going to put a stud here and a stud here, and then make a cover that sits on with 2 more of these nuts. So take care, Mart. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Oh my gosh. That one actually just done up tight at some point. But if you lift this off, you can actually see this shape here, which has got a cam in it. And there's a, have a look, there's a set screw in the back there, which also has a shoulder on it that locates in a hole on the cam. So the cam's basically just drilled with, in the dividing head, with 8 or 10 or something holes around. I think 8 holes around it, which gives you a different place in the offset to bring this position here. One of these gears, I think this gear is actually locked in place on this, and then that brings these two into mesh. This one here is a slide. It's got some sort of slide in it, I think, from memory, which meshes these two, and then this one and the spindle is adjusted from the front. Anyway, that's the Emma thread cutting attachment for the Lorch lathe. It's not finished yet, but it's certainly well on the way. There are other improvements probably that it could have, but it's probably never going to get them. What it will get is, when we get that way and we've worked out how much space we actually need on here, what it will get is a tin cover in the back, and probably a cast cover on here with Lorch on it, and a couple of studs with nuts. I think that's how that's going to work. Anyway, that's where we're at. And just to put it back in, you just basically slide this T-nut. Can't do it back at one-handed really, but the T-nut slides in this T-slot in the end, and it locks down on here. There's probably numbers or something on there if you look. I don't know about Oscar Worthy, but it never ever got a proper video because it's never been finished. And when I do finish it, I'll probably pull it apart and make a video and show how it all works. But until that point, it hasn't ever happened. There's still lots to do. I had trouble with these little washers in here because you want a bit of clearance between your gears. There's a little keyed washer that goes on the bush. I'm going to pull this off and it's all going to fall to bits in here, but it'll give you some sort of idea how it works. It's probably a two-handed job, but I think it'll come off. There we go. So we've got a nut, right? And then we've got a bush with a key, which matches your wheels. So basically there's a spacer washer between. I had trouble with them. And now Joe's got a surface grinder. We might remake all those. So basically that's just a bronze bush that with a key in it, and there's a gap between, see, with the washer. This is basically the spindle that's got a flat on it for the slide. Right. Oh my gosh, sorry about the lights, guys. And this one here, which has also got a flat, which you can sort of see. I think you can sort of see that. Probably. But that locks in the back of the spindle. So basically you put this together and you can put the nut on it and lock it up. And when you do that up, that'll be tight. In horizontal like this, it's not really, sorry, you're going to get sick. So that locks on there tight. And this basically just runs on, it's a fraction short, so there's no nip on it, and that just runs between there and the nut. And this one, and this one's the same. This one here is the shaft that runs through, and this thread's actually in the end of the shaft, or on the end of the shaft. But it's got the same provision basically to be able to put, with a key, to be able to put 2 gears on that one if you need to gear it. Or to be able to put this washer on the back and this one on the front if you need this gear to run onto a different sort of, let's see if we can slide this up. Set these up with just a piece of paper in between to get the right gap. That's just a piece of writing paper. That's the way to set them up so that they're actually right. And then you can just set this one, you can put different gear on it, or you can move them around, or you can put another gear on the outside. So if you don't want a 40 gear here to get the right ratio, you can put something else here on the outside and then mesh it to something else here and across here and whatever. Anyway, Aussie Rob, thanks heaps for tuning in. Sorry we've been a bit boring tonight. I'm bouncing off walls a bit tonight, so I'm glad we had a launch later to talk about. And these are basically just tumbler reverses. So this and this stay on here all the time. And that works. It gives you a reverse to here, and then the change gears from here, whether you put a bigger one on here or whether you run straight off the 40 to here. And now I'm running a 2mm pitch, which is the same as the lead screw. So this is running basically 40 to 40 is 1-to-1 here, and then 40 to 40 with an idler is 1-to-1 again. So it's just that simple. Anyway, that's the James. This is, once you've used a decent change wheel setup, like a decent change wheel system setup that's not a pain in the backside. This is a magic thing to use, really, and especially with a cutout for power feed, so you can actually use it for cutting as well. I'm really pleased with the way this came up. I actually just cut this out of steel plate and drilled it and milled it. It was a bit of a job. I did that on the Centec mill. This is actually this piece here, which is actually a nice shape to fit the launch. This is just wire EDM. If you can get someone to do that, it all fits together much nicer. And this shaft here has a cam on it, just an offset cam, basically the same as the shaft, the tailstock that lifts this thread up and down and locks it. So I bought a commercial pull knob for here and a lock nut for here, and probably, I don't know, if I do something on the outside here, I might put nuts like this to match, or I might just find a couple of these and put on it, something like that, don't know. Right. That's where we're at. That's what we've done. But a bit of progress on this. I'm probably going to stall this for a bit and get some roller bits done while I think about where to go next. And I guess we're way over time. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks for hanging around. I think if you go to Peter Nottle's server, Bill's playing music there. So if you're interested in Bill's tunes, that's probably a pretty cool thing to do after live stream. But that's all the stuff that's been happening. That's where we're at. There's a foundry trip soon, and there's 1,000 projects, so just got to actually get stuff done. Anyway, I'm out. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for the company. Hope that everything runs along nice and everyone's in a good state of mind and life's going okay. I think life's going okay for me at the moment, maybe. Bit of a train wreck. Peter's DJing there. And Bill's gone to bed. But anyway, I'm out. Be kind to each other, and more soon, guys and girls. Thanks for watching. We'll see ya.